Welcome to our 8th episode. Today we have Marvel, DC, and Image Comics for you. So let's get to it. In today's timeline, we will start you guys off with Dark Ages, number 3.
Tom Taylor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom Taylor at his finest. Another pretty brutal kill. Another major hero with Human Torch going down. We also see one of Black Panther's guards, whose name I can never remember.
There's his main guard.
Yeah. So she's dead as well. But the heroes now know what Apocalypse is up to. He has Magneto, Doc Ock,
Reed Richards.
Yeah, Reed Richards is there, obviously, and not under his free will. Iron Man is there, building some kind of weapon. Dr. Doom is now convinced he has to get Iron Man back. As he says, Iron Man's whole life is made for destruction.
Yeah, so we need him on our side.
Yes.
I like the costume design for X-23 in the Dark Ages. It looks pretty cool, slick, badass. And Black Panther sitting on his throne looks really awesome. Like the old Black Panther, the dark, I am king kind of. Let's see, we can talk about the Quicksilver scene.
Yeah, I think the Quicksilver scene is Quicksilver's kind of role in this issue is kind of the main point of the issue. He kills some heroes, but he also gets all the intel back to the remaining heroes.
Kind of a useful situation for both sides a little bit. And I don't know why Apocalypse will just let him go back because, might as well hold them.
It's an attack.
Fear.
He's hopeful that he'll just take out all the important heroes before they can even respond.
Fair enough. Yeah, the death of everyone's important there.
Right. If he kills Jean Grey first, then no one's there. No one can stop him.
True. The depleted sides on both ends.
Apocalypse definitely has the upper hand here, I think. He's got electricity, and he has all these geniuses with as much technology as they want. And
the ability to control them, too.
Yes.
That's just amazing.
Yeah. And nobody else has electricity, obviously, as it's been. So it's an uphill battle for the remaining heroes right now.
Yeah, it's an overall good episode. Good comic. I liked it. It was fun. It had plenty of heroes and villains time.
They're definitely gearing up for that big fight because this is only 6 issues, so we're halfway through it now.
Exciting times.
The fight will be here soon. Probably, next issue it looks like Fin Fang Foom is involved. Probably guarding Europe for Apocalypse would be my guess.
Yeah, I like how in the end of the episode we see Apocalypse talks to a Venom, Miles, whatever.
Some kind of symbiote.
Yeah, it says, I hope all 3 of you are ready. So my money's on Miles with Venom and Carnage thrown in there.
That, I think, is probably the most popular way to interpret that.
So, all right, well, that was pretty good overall. So let's move it on to the next one, our DC part today. It's DC's versus Vampires.
Yeah, Matthew Rosenberg writing and Otto Schmidt on the art. And I really like Schmidt's art. I think his Batgirl definitely, I like how much more purple than it has been recently. We get to see a lot of heroes.
Yeah, it's very nice to see them all in the same room and all the different Robins right there. And
you see the whole Bat family, just about. You see the Outsiders. They do show the Justice League again. And I think the biggest problem is that the Wonder Twin that's still alive now knows the other Wonder Twin is probably dead.
Yeah. Well, it got blended on the last issue.
That's the first issue, yes.
So let's see. What I enjoy about this is Alfred joking about how they all could use a therapist. That was a pretty good moment.
Yes.
And Damien's just really funny, always.
Alfred needs to come back to main continuity.
Agreed.
Put that in there.
And then the good moment was when Flash and Green Lantern are hanging out on the beach.
I think that's the big thing in this one is one speedster's down. Obviously, a speedster would not be good for vampires as they can just run around staking all of them without anything stopping them. So the fact that they have removed probably the best speedster is good for the vampires, but it's also bad for the fact that people are going to be looking for Flash, whether it's the Justice League, Central City, somebody will go looking for him.
Yeah, I can't wait until they have another big showdown.
That will happen soon. I'm gonna say issue 3 is them putting more pieces together. And issue 4 would be my guess is when we see a first showdown.
So I don't like how Batman's still not trusting everyone 100%, even though he's got all his Bat people with him.
I mean, as we saw in issue 1 with Green Lantern able to avoid sunlight, there is ways around sunlight. I'm sure there's ways around holy water.
Okay, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting for them to explain it after, because if one of them is a vampire at the moment, which there should be at least one.
I think if the vampires are smart, they definitely have a spy in the Bat family. That feels like their number one enemy at this point. I mean, Batman is obviously well prepared. He has a whole arsenal in the basement ready to roll. Yeah,
and then everyone's just picking out their weapons now. So, yeah. Good overall issue. It's a nice story. I like where it's going. I enjoy it.
It's gonna be interesting to see how they do 12 issues of this. That's so far the biggest concern is I feel like the book's moving pretty fast. Like they're gonna careen into a war quite quickly.
Maybe the war would be like 2-3 episodes of war.
It could be.
So cool.
And we're on to our last book. We talked about number 1 a while back, and we're here with number 2. Reckless, Friend of the Devil, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Same creative team as the first one. And I'll let Franco start.
Yeah, no, it's a good story set back in the 80s. It's at 85. Yeah, same as the other one. It's got a great creative team. The writing's amazing. It just takes you down this story, and you just can't put it down. You just want to keep reading it. He gets called, and he tries to fix your problem type of deal. We're still looking at the Reckless guy, same dude.
Reckless.
Let's see. So who does he kill first though?
The beginning of this one is he's with that Vietnamese lady who he's kind of dating, hanging out with, and they're watching an old B-rated film at his theater, and she sees what she believes is her long lost sister in the background of this movie, even though she apparently disappeared 8 years ago.
So that kind of kickstarts their little story, and he starts to figure out what happened to her, because he's interested, so he actually wants to find this. Very driven by his anger, as usual, and he starts slowly figuring things out, unlocking all the secrets and where this woman ended up, so very dark.
First book was definitely more based as the CIA, using drugs as a way to funnel things. This one is more Manson clan feeling, cult that'll do basically anything. You get to see how trained Ethan is at the end. He's handcuffed to a chair, just casually takes them off and proceeds to kill 2 guys.
And then still hides from the others after.
And then kills 3 more.
With a broken leg.
Breaks his leg, gets shot, and ends up breaking up with his girlfriend. As he said, he'll always be the one that gave her the bad news. Showed her the clip. There is a video of her sister being killed in this cult.
Yes, I liked how it went from, all the hippie flower girls. There's a line in there that says it. All the, hippie flower girls now suddenly got into cocaine, and they're waiting to rip your eyes off.
Yes, the 80s are a lot different than the 70s. Is kind of the big overall picture of this second book. According to Ethan, the 80s are much darker.
Well, this book's a little darker, yeah.
This book was quite dark compared to the first one.
Yeah, adding the cult and the whole, snuff film into it, and, a lot of action. But what I said, if you got any time for it, definitely pick up any of the Reckless books.
These books are the perfect length. They're like 120 pages, roughly. You can read them in one sitting, no problem. But they also, you can probably read them on their own. You don't have to read all 3.
Yeah,
I would
agreed.
say you didn't have to read the first one to know this one.
No, I think it would have been just fine.
And I think I have read the third one, so I won't spoil anything, but I think the third one's the same way. You can probably read the third one without reading the first 2.
Nice. Cool. Well, shall we rate these before we go into the...
Yeah, let's do that. We'll start with Dark Ages. Franco, what do you think?
I would say a Yeah, give it an 8 because I like how much stuff is in there.
I'll give it an 8. There's enough there. And then DC versus Vampires 2. I'm going to give a 7.
Yeah, it's got plenty of stuff into it, I would say. Yeah.
Plenty of stuff. It seems to be going fast and slow at the same time. I mean, we've had 2 issues of just people kind of talking with some stuff happening in the background.
So there's always plenty of action to it, too. So, I mean, you can't complain about those.
The art is great in both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, Reckless number 2. I'll probably give this one an 8 because I've read the third book. So I think the third one's better. I'd put 1 and 2 on a similar scale, I think. About 7.5, 8, something like that.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a quick read, something different. I'm just going to give it a 9 because it was awesome.
I definitely enjoy Ed Brubaker's crime noir feel. Kill or Be Killed is next. I'm going to get all 4 books of those. So we'll be talking about those after we talk about Reckless number 3, probably in a couple weeks.
Nice. And we've got more of Death of Doctor Strange. We got a Venom 1 coming.
A Hulk 1 coming. Donnie Coates on that one.
And a continuation of all the X-Men stuff, too. Especially Wolverine's, because I'm 2 issues back. So.
There's a ton of DC annuals coming out next week. You have Batman annual, which will continue Ghostmakers. It'll finish his story arc from the B story of the first 5 issues of Batman. Nightwing, which is Nightwing Red Hood team up. And a Superman Son of Kal-El, Lex Luthor's return. So we'll see where that goes.
Cool. All right, well, moving on to our our TV show.
Yes, final thing of the week is Hawkeye Episode One, 6-issue miniseries.
We'll be doing an episode after every...
Definitely be talking about all 6 episodes. But I think we start with this one right from the top. Very quick introduction to Kate Bishop's character. You get a really great long take of her in her... apartment, I guess.
Her Manhattan building.
Yeah, Manhattan building as it collapses as the Chitauri attack. The Avengers try and fend them off. You see where she gets her addiction to Hawkeye, her admiration for Hawkeye. He does save her life. You get to see him do some very Green Arrow-esque swinging around with some fancy arrows.
Yeah, it was a great start. During that battle in 2012, and then we get the intro credits, the good montage of her speeding things up.
The intro credits were quite good, just the look and feel of them, and then of course in the background you do see Kate Bishop's training. You see her. We don't have to see her training. We know she's trained. Thankfully, they skip through that quite quickly.
Mm-hmm. And then we go straight into her being at college and shooting arrows and being in the archery team, destroys a clock tower.
Priceless clock tower and bell.
Yeah, so there goes that, and she's just showing off to her friends, which is kind of cool. It just shows us that she's starting to get that feel for that. Before she could get all these archery medals, but now she's getting that extra little tingly, like, spider sense to it.
Obviously, she's not as conditioned as Hawkeye, because Hawkeye wouldn't be doing stuff like that, but we do get to see that she is just a college kid with almost superhero level powers, and the mischief that they can get into.
Yeah, always. So we have the fight scene in the cellar with all the bottles.
Yeah, so the fight scenes overall in this episode are hit or miss. Sometimes they're very smooth, they don't cut very much, and other times I felt like they cut a little bit too much. I don't know.
Well, for this one, it was very complicated. You have all the wine bottles, the cellar, a lot of moving pieces, and you can't exactly get a camera in there too well.
We do get kind of the beginning of the story with that wine cellar thing. She puts on the Ronin suit, and they all think that she is the Ronin that killed a bunch of people when Hawkeye was killing a bunch of people at the beginning of Endgame. So that'll be kind of the driving force behind the beginning of this story anyways.
Yeah, so they want to kill her now because she's the new Ronin.
So they are after her because of that. Hawkeye's after her because of that. Obviously, he wants to know who took his old gear and is using it to save a dog. Yeah, the dog being the third main character of this show.
Yeah, we don't see too much of him.
No, he is there, but he's on the poster.
And he's locked in her apartment, so it's not like he's going to go anywhere, I think.
And then finally...
Well, it's that Hawkeye fight at the end. When he actually shows up.
The Hawkeye fight at the end shows up. We don't see an overarching villain to the show. I think kind of the person we thought could have been a villain died.
Yeah.
His son could be a villain.
A little after a while, you'd think, right?
I would say he did take the Ronin sword. We don't know what he's doing with the Ronin sword. But then we also have the other rumors that Kingpin will show up. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, so he could be working for him if that rumor's true.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to see him in here and try to see that the new Kingpin look that everyone's rumoring about.
The rumor is he's in episode 4, 5, and 6, and his suit is comic book accurate. He's like overly large, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it depends on if they sell it properly. I mean, if it looks a bit weird and clunky, then
if it looks, it might just. I just think it's gonna look clunky for live action. I think I would have just stayed with Vincent D'Onofrio.
His big build works.
He was big enough, scary enough. But we'll see. We'll see if that is even a thing. If that actually comes to fruition a few weeks from now.
But yeah, overall a good episode. I would definitely watch it. I'm not a huge Hawkeye fan, but yeah, very fun. I can't wait to see the others. People will love the dog. I know that I will love the dog.
Everyone likes dogs.
But yeah, thanks for joining us this week. Don't forget to subscribe.
Rating on Hawkeye? What would you give the episode?
I'll give it a solid 8.
I'll give it a 7. It got a little draggy at some points, I thought, but overall it was pretty good.
That's a good start.
It's a good start.
So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like our page and tell us how we did.
Share with all your friends. What you guys think of Hawkeye? What you guys think? You guys have read any of these books this week? If so, let us know. Let us know what you thought.
All right. See you next week.